What is up, people? Matt here. So I'm going to do another top 5 Bleach video today, and it's going to be the top 5 Bleach villains. Now obviously there's a lot more than 5 villains in Bleach, so there are going to be some people left off the list, and I apologise if they actually happen to be your favourite ones, but these are my favourite villains, I suppose you could say. I mean, the villains, it's very difficult to rank them in your favourite order because, well, it's difficult to rank villains. I find it's a lot more difficult than I think it is for the good guys. But yeah, I'm just going to do 5 because if I did 10, I'd pretty much be doing all of them, which would be pretty pointless. But at number 5 we got Ganryu. So obviously he was the main villain antagonist from, although it was a filler arc, the Bound arc, which I thought was alright. I wasn't a huge fan of it, to be honest. So Ganryu is a bit of a weird one because obviously they were all Bounce, which are pretty weird creatures in themselves. I mean, I really didn't get into it a whole lot, to be honest. I thought it was a bit of a rubbish arc. Definitely not one of my favourites. But it was interesting to see how he kind of manipulated people, and even that Soul Reaper, Mark in Chinose or whatever his name was. Obviously, like, pretty much all the Bounce died except for one, which is pretty ironic. But yeah, that's what Ganryu is right at the bottom of the list, just because I couldn't really think of anyone else to put on there properly. Well, there was another person, but I'll probably do an honourable mentions before number 1 on this list. So at number 4 we got Ganryu. So he's obviously the main antagonist or villain from the first Bleach movie, Memories of Nobody. I've actually got a picture of the movie up there, or scroll, I suppose you could say. I actually really liked the first Bleach movie. When I first started watching the Bleach movies, I thought, oh, you know, are these really going to work out? But actually, yeah, the first one is probably my favourite. But yeah, Ganryu was he's a bit of a classic villain. He was just like, oh, I'm going to destroy the human world and the whole of the Soul Society. So I'm like, you know, at least he's got a game plan. Fair play to him. So he was the leader of the Dark Ones. Basically, he kind of got banished like 1,000 years ago or something like that. So he's probably a bit angry, and he just wanted to destroy everything. Basically, it's difficult to put a villain that we only saw for an hour, but because I like the Bleach movie so much, I thought he was a good villain, considering he was in an hour movie. So, you know, fair play to him. He actually managed to achieve what a lot of characters wouldn't actually be able to do. Number 3 we got Muramasa and Koga Kuchiki. Put them together obviously because they're pretty much one in the same. So obviously they were the main villains or antagonists from the Zanpakuto arc. Actually one of my favourite arcs, even though it's a filler arc. And I know people really like to hate on the filler arcs, but the Zanpakuto is probably the best filler arc, to be fair. I really liked Muramasa as Zanpakuto's spirit, and Koga as, like, well, honestly, when I first started watching it, I thought Koga was actually Byakuya's dad. But then obviously later on you find out that he married one of Ginrei's daughters or whatever, and he's actually Byakuya's uncle technically. So they're not really properly related, only by marriage. But it's difficult because you don't know who to feel sorry for. Koga basically got corrupted by Muramasa, but then Muramasa ended up pretty much being abused by Koga. So who do you feel sorry for? Or do you just not feel sorry for either of them? It's a difficult one. But yeah, the Zanpakuto Rebellion arc was my favourite filler arc in Bleach. But I'll probably do an arc video sometime. So at number 2 we got Kugo Ginjo and Shukuro Tsukishima, or whatever his name is. I'm really crap at pronouncing some of these names. So obviously they are the main villains, spoiler alert, from the Fullbringer arc, or the Lost Agent arc, whatever you call it. I really like these two, and I like the Fullbringer arc a lot more than a lot of people do. I'm definitely more forgiving with these sort of arguably bad arcs. I don't mind them. I don't think Bleach has a bad arc. The closest is probably the Bound arc, to be honest. But yeah, a lot of people really didn't like the Fullbringer arc because Ichigo didn't have his powers for all of it, from pretty much all of it, which I actually didn't mind. I actually enjoyed that sort of how it played out. Kugo Ginjo and Tsukishima, pretty interesting villains to say the least. I mean, Kugo Ginjo, you had no idea he was bad right until the end, pretty much. Tsukishima turned out not to be too bad. Well, actually, it was pretty shit bad, actually. But yeah, with Kugo, and you actually do feel sorry for him because he did basically get shit on by the Soul Society, but at the same time, he would have been alright if he didn't go away. He just kind of went off. It was obviously Kugo is obviously the first substitute Soul Reaper, and then Ichigo was the second. So they had an interesting connection there. Kugo is actually a lot older than Tsukishima, which you wouldn't be able to tell because Kugo met Tsukishima in the Soul Society when Tsukishima was a kid. We didn't get that didn't get explored a lot at all, so we don't really know anything extra about that. Obviously they both got killed at the end of the Fullbringer arc, but then they've been brought back in the 1,000-Year War, and they're in the Soul Society, but you haven't seen them do anything or talk or whatever. So I mean, I don't know where that's heading. But yeah, I quite like them as a villain in the arc. So I thought I'd kind of do some honourable mentions. Well, I do one honourable mention at least. Kuto, or whatever his name was, he was from the Hellverse Bleach movie. Bit of an interesting one because pretty much throughout it all again you thought he was a good guy, and then right at the end it turns out he's actually the bad guy. Probably no shock there for some people, but I was pretty surprised. I thought he would have been the good guy, or at least a good guy, but no. I wasn't a particular fan of the Hellverse movie because it did feel somewhat out of place. They shoved a couple of funny things in, like Aaron Yarrow and Psylocke the Espada were in hell apparently. I don't know where that goes because I'm pretty sure hell doesn't get mentioned in the Bleach like anime or manga at all really, so I don't know how that worked out. But he was an interesting villain, I guess, in the end, if you can call it that, because he just basically popped up as the villain at the end. So number one is pretty obvious. I do sometimes hate being obvious in these videos, but you can't really give it to anybody else with this sort of video. So obviously the number one villain is Sosuke Aizen. Big surprise, right? I mean, what can I say? Of course he is going to be the main villain. I mean, a lot of people might put Juha Buck on their list, which might be totally fair. I haven't really read the manga through the 1,000-Year War arc, so I've pretty much got no idea about Juha really, other than videos I've watched. So I couldn't in good faith put him on the list and not really have anything to say about him. With Aizen though, he's done it. He's done everything. He's got the T-shirt and he's been back and forth again. He manipulated the Soul Society for over 100 years and pretty much nobody caught on until the very end, and even then they didn't catch on, which I don't particularly understand. When he did finally reveal it, Gin and Kaname Tosen went with him, so they lost 3 captains just flat out like that. I mean, he builds an army up uses them as cannon fodder. They don't really do shit to further him. And then he just goes, well, I didn't really need anyone anyway. I was just doing it for a bit of fun. You know, I can beat all of you without any help. I mean, Gin then betrays him, and he kills Gin. Then Ichigo fights him, and then Ichigo beats Aizen, but then Aizen obviously doesn't die because he's got the Hogyoku inside him, so then he gets imprisoned, and he's out in a couple of years, and now he's back causing trouble. Well, he's not causing trouble now because he's imprisoned still technically, but he got brought out and he's being wheeled about. So Sasuke's just pretty much been around and done everything really, and he's still in the anime. Now, one thing I can't understand, and someone might be able to explain to me, how didn't the Soul Society find out about Aizen when he holified like Shinji and all those? How come nobody found out? Kisuke was there, Tessai was there, I'm pretty sure Yoroichi probably was told. They all mysteriously holified. And nobody kind of caught on that it was Aizen. What? I mean, okay, the only thing I can think of is because Aizen naturally wasn't meant to be there, there's no proof that he was there. So everyone probably thought, oh, it was Kisuke and Tessai making shit up. But it wasn't. So for like 100 years went past, nobody questioned it. I mean, you know, that might be a plot hole, I don't know. I just couldn't really wrap my head around how that worked. But I'm sure there is I'm sure it makes sense when it gets explained. But yeah, this was pretty much my top 5 villains in Bleach video. I think they're all pretty okay villains, to be fair. I especially do like, you know, top 3 I especially like, you know, Gin and Ganryu. They're alright, don't mind them. But yeah, anyway, this is the end of the video. So as always, thank you for watching this, and I will definitely see you on the next one. Bye now.